Hi, this is Elizabeth and Ailton Brewington with Discover Brightside and Brightside Global Trade TV. And we're so excited to talk about video today with Quint. And he has an interesting name with cinema, which is spelled very uniquely. So over to you, Quint. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the evolution of this video wave that we're going through.
Oh, well, hi there, and thanks so much for having on it. It's an honor and a privilege to be here, Elizabeth and Elton. Thank you so much. So yeah, my name's Quint Bower, and I am the son of a guy called Bruce Bower, who was an actor, and he was the American in Fawlty Towers. For those of you who know Fawlty Towers, the British comedy, he was the American who wanted a Waldorf salad.
Mm.
That's my little icebreaker.
Okay.
And I started off in the acting game, doing voiceovers and presenting and a little bit of acting, and working. Then gradually started working behind the cameras on Top of the Pops and Noel's House Party and various light entertainment shows for the BBC. And then in the year 2000, when it became possible to edit video on computers and to shoot, in this case on mini DV cameras, I set up a production company with my friend Matt in what became my daughter's bedroom shortly afterwards. And we started producing video for field marketing companies. So we'd go out and we'd film men and women handing out little bottles of Actimel or little bottles of Pantene shampoo to commuters as they passed by through stations, through Marylebone Station or Liverpool Street Station or Charing Cross Station. And then what we do is we put a little VHS video together of the consumers and what they thought and how many bottles have been handed out and all the metrics around the promotional campaign. Excuse me, we put that onto VHS tape, and then we give that VHS tape to the field marketing company, and they in turn would give it to the PR company, and they in turn would give it to the client. And then gradually people came to expect these VHS tapes, which had a debrief of what these campaigns were doing. And one by one, the PR companies would start to come to us directly and say, well, can you do these debrief tapes for us? And then the clients started to come back. So, for example, we'd work with Touchdown Promotion, producing a video for Pantene, or Pantene, I think you call it over there. And then the PR company, in this case, Good Relations, would come to us and say, could you go and film the Pantene Awards in the UK? And then Pantene themselves would say, look, actually, could you edit this and put this into, and then eventually could you do a TV commercial for us? And that's how we grew, really, for until about 2008. We were working in FMCG, and the team expanded from myself and Matt into about half a dozen people. 2008 financial crisis came along, and we started working with a lot of the big banks in Canary Wharf. And the next sort of waypoint was in 2011, 2012, we started to get involved in animation because the cost of the software started to drop. And so then we became a video and an animation production company. The next waypoint was 2016, when this country, the United Kingdom, voted to leave Europe and a thing called Brexit, which was a disaster for us because by that time, about 1/3 of our business was coming through from Europe. We were doing all the videos on how great it was to be in Europe. And then the Europeans turned around and said, well, you can't be doing those videos anymore. Get lost, because obviously you're not in Europe anymore. So we set up in Amsterdam, and then we still continue to work with the European Commission from Amsterdam. And then one of our largest clients, JP Morgan, said, can you do for us in New York what you're doing for us in London? And we said, yeah, absolutely. So we moved to New York, opened an office there, and then by extension, just so that we were bi-coastal, we opened up in Los Angeles too. So the company has grown from myself and Matt in the year 2000 to roughly 55 people, maybe more or less, based in London and in Amsterdam, in Zurich, in New York, and in Los Angeles. And we're a full service production company. We provide everything to do with video production, from storyboards, voiceovers, right the way through to the final video, be that on TV commercial or on the web, obviously, any sort of format channel or platform that that you want to put your video on. And business is booming because of the rise of the internet, and the demand for content um, is only seems to be increasing. And then I should really say that things had another sort of uplift during COVID, when all of a sudden people were used to seeing video on computers, and I think that was a game changer for us as well. So that's a little bit about me personally. I mean, I guess I've always been involved in film and television, either through my father, or through my own work behind the camera and behind the microphone, and then through production, doing video and animation. Massive, huge believer in the ability of video and animation to communicate a story in a relatable and creative way. Is that the sort of thing you wanted, Elizabeth?
Yes, absolutely. And well, I know we're going in and out, but we also wanted to find out, with this huge AI evolution, do you think it's going to affect the video industry? And do you think that we in the video and the film production, we need to, I guess, retool or get ready for a new wave? Because when you think about how we move from film to VHS to memory sticks to, all the different devices. So will AI change the industry?
Yeah. Okay. So at the moment, we've we're in a situation. So we're now in sort of coming up to the end of April 2024. I suppose this whole argument kicked off in November of 2022, when ChatGPT and OpenAI uh, sort of released ChatGPT, and then since then we've had DALL-E and Midjourney, and all the way up to Sora, and the latest video I saw was Firefly for Premiere. I guess in short, where I think there's a huge number of opinions on this, even within my company. There are people who think that, not to put too fine a point on it, we are toast within 24 months. And then there's other people within the company who say that actually they are never going to be able to fully deliver what's required. And I'll go into that in a second. And then there's a middle road, as there always is, which says that AI was going to augment everything we do, and that it'll allow us to be more creative, and that those people who can, for example, edit now, and those people who can animate now, will have more tools at their disposal and have more power to their elbow. So if I can pick off those points one by one, the first point, which says that we are toast, says that video and animation production, which is at the moment it's quite clumsy. It's text to image. Now, we don't know how good Sora is, because at time of producing this, it hasn't been released yet. So all we've got is some very flashy videos saying what they will be able to do. And while that is a step change from what they did last year, i.e. Will Smith eating a bowl of spaghetti, we're still waiting to see what exactly it can do. And unless and until we know that, we're just waiting to see. What does seem to be possible is the rise of some very niche areas, but very important areas. One of those areas is script writing. Another one of those areas is voiceovers. Another one of those areas is storyboarding. And then there are some very niche areas in terms of deep fakes, which is in the news a lot because of the social implications of deep fakes, and the ability with incredible ease to create deep fakes, and so we're not sure how that's going to affect the market. So I guess that's number one. On the other end of the spectrum is this argument. So say, for example, an advertising agency came to me and they said, we want to produce a video that is half a dozen school children playing hopscotch on a pavement on a sunny day, watched by 6 Dalmatian dogs. Okay, that's a very random creative brief. but we all know that we can do text to prompt into Chat GPT or Sora or probably Premiere in a few months' time, and they will be able to come up with some images, at least some still images almost immediately, but maybe some video clips demonstrating that. Now, how accurate that's going to be according to the client brief is anyone's guess. And if they need to make changes to that, if, for example, they wanted to change the Dalmatians, for example, into golden retrievers, they're really going to have a really hard time doing it because um, of things like hallucinations within the program, because you're going to have to keep repeating the questions to the AI time after time after time. Now, don't forget, everything we're producing commercially is on a very, very tightly constrained timeline, and we simply don't have the time, because we'd be talking BS if we said to the client, yes, you will definitely be able to have this a week on Thursday, because we don't know how long it's going to take Chat GPT or Anthropic's outfit or Claude or whatever. We don't know how long it's going to take for them to actually spit out what we need. So if we can imagine a timeline where, if we take the example of the children playing hopscotch, being watched by Dalmatians over here, yes, if you ran both sides and an animator over here producing it, yes, probably you get the first iteration of that video within probably 20 minutes using this AI, and the animator is won't have finished his first cup of tea by the time that AI has finished the first example. But moving forward, the animator is going to go past the post first, because once he's created those images, he'll be able to adapt them to the client's brief, in a client's timeline, to the client's branding, let's say the client's font, the client's color palette, which obviously is really, really important. And so it remains an open question how competitive AI is going to be to using the traditional animation and video production approach. It may be that the addressable market for high-end video is going to stay the same, but the addressable market for cheap and cheerful videos, like a little product video of, oh, I don't know, let's take that, for example, right? So if I could feed that into an AI and they could produce that as a 3D moving image, and then I could put motion graphics and motion tracking onto that and pick off the key points and put a voiceover over the top of it. A voiceover could be a human being, or a voiceover could be an AI, and then we can put it into 50 different languages at a click of a button. So the market's going to change. It may be that there's a twin track. One route to market is going to be cheap and cheerful videos. The other route to market is going to be more high-end brand videos. And just like there are photographers at the moment, everybody's got a camera, a 4K camera probably on their mobile phone. But if I want to go and hire a photographer to go and shoot a wedding, I'm still going to be paying the best part of £1,000 and probably a load of money for copyright and a load of money for prints as well. So these markets are going to develop in a way that it's not possible for me to predict. But all we can do is say to our clients, look, we are across this, we're leaning into it, we're understanding it, and at times it will augment what you want to do. In terms of script writing, in terms of maybe a creative idea, in terms of voiceovers, in terms of translating it, certainly in terms of doing things like deep fakes, which wouldn't be possible otherwise. But it's very, very, it's a very, very movable situation. But I mean, obviously, the presumption here is it's going to change. It's going to change. We just don't know in which way it will. I mean, that's quite a rambling answer to your question, but that's where my head's at the moment.
No, it
I
has
think.
great prospects. I mean, when you look at the markets and programming and what's available for each market programming territory, oh wow, you got 3 territories that we're working with, and the interest and the appetite's great here, and they'd love to see more British and UK and European programming and broadcasting, and then our market would, and which would drive the dollar to some extent. And and so we just have to capture and find and locate the different programming that has the great prospects.
Yeah.
So we have to put our ears to the ground, and also, I mean, because there are so many different merging territories, especially there's movies, there's music, there's broadcast programming, Oh my
Yes,
goodness. I mean,
unlimited.
unlimited. So,
Mhm.
so culturally, there's an appetite in both
Mhm.
spaces.
Yeah, and video is the number one. 90% of internet users in the United States use video, and
Yeah.
80% of the decision-making process online is with video. So I think there's going to be bigger budgets, and as we explore AI and integration, there's going to be that learning curve, and so I really think it's going to explode. So I don't think we're being tossed away. I think it's just going to
Uh,
be massive. Yeah.
I mean, let me just take an example, which is quite interesting. It's a real world example that happened to us recently. A company that we work with, which is a rather large consultancy, um, wanted us to record one of their C-suite people and record them so that they could use that person who is a moving target. He's a big deal, and he's a moving target, and they can't ever stop him to do these sort of quarterly presentations. So the idea, and it was a good one, is okay, let's capture his face, and then every time he has to do a quarterly financial report, we can just type in what we want him to say, and he'll say it. And anybody, we can create, you'll never guess when we create a deep fake that it's a deep fake. So yes, of course we can do that. But of course, the problem was that the integrity of the presentation is shot to pieces once you know that that's an AI. If it ever got out, and
Yeah.
they had to watermark it so that it was an AI, that was unbelievable. And there was such a backlash that they had to go back to actually filming it. A lot of our work is in medical in the medical sector, whether it's medical products or medical comms. And if we start using AI on something as sensitive as medical information, it totally undermines the efficacy of the argument. If you introduce AI in people's minds, they go, I don't know if it's real. I'm not going to believe it. And on something like political messaging, financial messaging, healthcare messaging, it has to be real. If the minute you start introducing any idea that it could be fake, you're totally reducing the message. So I think there are some areas where it's going to have to remain real, and it's galling for the client that they're going to have to bring in film crews and tie down the C-suite person once a quarter in order to film them. But that's gonna have to be what happens, because otherwise they're gonna risk a share price drop or something worse.
So
Yeah.
evaluating a search profile, because finance, oh my goodness, the UK finance and the Europe profile for finance, exploring what they need to look at the unique merging capacities for that. Oh wow, I mean, there are perfectly opportunities for people to talk about, explore and video copy.
Yeah.
Let's
Um,
look at it. I just want to touch on one other thing, since Elizabeth, you were talking about emerging markets as a result of AI, because that's something we haven't talked about. Just briefly, there are going to be we're already creating products. Every financial institution, every consultancy, and a host of other FMCG clients are developing their own GPTs or version of it. And every time they release a new product or service, they're going to have to be told internally what they've produced and how it works. Externally, they've got to tell their customers how to use it and how it works. Those are going to have to be animations, because who honestly has the time to read through a document in how many different languages?
yeah.
We can create these things. So the market for video and animation has got to be parabolic. It has to be double exponential, because and so so the market's going to expand. And I think probably the route to market in terms of the channels, well, you know more about this than I do, don't you?
Yeah.
So we,
It's going to get greater and greater.
we're gonna have to do a brief that we can toss out to different divisions and let them take a look
Yes,
at them and
that's true.
see what they might consider. And and then there are some expense models we'll throw out to them about what it could actually cost and how quickly can get a turnaround for, and what who are the players that we
Yeah.
can count on for.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and we could go on and on and on, but let me go back to just reintroducing cinema to everyone. And we are talking to Quint. And I want to just see if I could. And so thank you for watching, and write us a comment. Tell us what you think about the video industry. And if you are in the industry, if you have an ad agency or you're launching a product, contact us. And this is an amazing video, and we hope that wherever you want to, anytime, anywhere you want to produce a video around the world, just give us a call, and we'll connect you to Quint. So thank you for watching Discover Brightside, where we discover everything new and exciting. Okay.
Wow.